Everyone, I recorded a interview with Sean Francis for an English class about 2 years ago. So the audio quality is pretty crap, and you can hear loud pen clicking at certain times. I think it's kind of cringy at a few points too. But I was talking to a buddy of mine, and he said, I should upload more and get more pole vault content out there. So here it is.
So how have you been?
I've been good, right?
Good.
Summer, so just doing some summer classes to, you know, get a little ahead, just like the ones I don't want to do during the school year, so like English and history. So
Sounds like yeah, English is one of them,
yeah,
huh? What kind of English class is it?
it's just like intro to composition. So I guess we're doing profiles right now. Something like a person, place, or organization that is significant to your community. That's the definition. So um,
Cool.
I thought, yeah, Sean's very significant to the pole vault community, and that's kind of what I wrote about.
Cool. Yeah. So whatever I can do to help you, man, you just let me know. All
Cool.
right.
I just got some questions for you.
Okay.
I got kind of three spots because I got some feedback, and then my original questions I was supposed to ask you, and then as I was writing, some came up. So I guess let's start with some of the original ones.
Okay.
Um, Actually, I want to start here. So, uh, from your perspective, why did you start the pole vault blog? And like, I kind of know that, but why did you start
Yeah.
it? And then, how has it grown beyond what you thought it would?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, it originally started as a way to stay in contact with this club, and I'm sure you know all this stuff, right? Yeah, with this club I had up at when I was at NDSU. And so it came from a place of just trying to stay in contact with like these 15 kids that I was working with. And then it kind of morphed into this way of so I'm going a little off track here, all right?
Perfect.
So when I started that thing, those kids were watching it, but then the pole vault community started watching it too. And so that was kind of cool because I was like, I didn't even know the pole vault community was this big or that anyone would even care about anything I had to say or how many fart jokes they'd like or whatever else was in there. And then after a while, it kind of morphed into what Team Hoot became, which was originally just a place for people without a team to come together and have a team. So it was almost like a team of misfit athletes and toys, where we could all kind of come together and have a team. So it started out as like a joke. And I don't know if you know this either, but like Team Hoot was a joke at first. I had this ugly owl
Yeah,
shirt.
yeah.
Yeah, and then it just morphed into like, all right, I'm a part of Team Hoot. And then other people were like, oh, I want to be a part of Team Hoot. And I was like, you don't have a team either? All right, let's bring all these like unattached athletes and high school kids and kids without coaches. And we all just kind of came together. And then from Team Hoot, it kind of morphed into um, just following your instincts and your dreams, sort of a thing. Like you don't have to follow the conventional route. You can go wherever you want to go. You can follow these things, even though it people are calling you crazy or whatever else. And because of that, it morphed into like what it is today. Because like I'd go to the Reno Pole Vault Summit and people would go, "Hey, I like your little silly YouTube videos you're making." And that's what they were telling me at the time. All like my heroes, these people who are Olympians that I was like, I want to be like that person. They were kind of like making fun of me a little bit. And then it became like what it is now, where it's just helping people pole vault higher, at its simplest form. That's really what it is now is that. And what I'm trying to do is get it back a little bit to with Owl Media, and we can talk about that if you want, but trying to get it back to that dream following kind of thing a little bit.
Yeah, so
That,
so a few things based off that, Sean. I think, are you aware that to you those Olympians and everything, those were like the heroes, like you are that to some kids like me.
I, don't- I don't know. I feel weird accepting that. I'll be honest with you, but it's cool to think about that I've had a little bit of impact on somebody's life in that way. But I just I think it's like I don't like to elevate myself at all. I like to at least stay neutral. I'm on the same level field as you are, you know? So if anyone tries to put me higher at all, it feels weird. But I'm just you, just farther down the road. You know what I mean? Like I was just a guy trying to figure out how to pole vault higher, and that was it. So I literally went to college to do that.
Oh yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah, and my professors were like, "You can't get a degree in pole vaulting." I'm like, let's see if I can, you know. And then I did essentially, like I with biomechanics. I was like,
Hmm.
I'm just doing my research on pole vault. Now I have a degree in pole vault, sort of. And I just had that question and this burning desire to figure out how it works. And I think that's where a lot of pole vaulters come from. And you know, I have that same thing for mental health too. And I'm getting some
We'll get into
pushback on
that.
that.
We'll get into that.
Sorry, man. I'll let you ask the
No, no,
question.
this is perfect. I'm glad. I'm glad. I kind of had the right idea here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, I think we're on the same level field. But like, I appreciate you saying that, and
Yeah,
I
no.
hear it's hard for me to accept that, and I'm exploring why that's hard right now.
Yeah, I mean, we got a little bit of time here. So like when I was a freshman in high school, my pole vault coach he had started the same year. I and he let's see, he only did it until 1 year after I had graduated, and he was awesome. I loved him as a coach. He had no idea how to coach pole vault.
Yeah,
So every day, especially like my freshman year when I was just getting at like the start of it, before I knew about any local camps or whatever, I'd come home and I'd throw on either Team Hoot because I think Team Hoot had been like a thing for about a year and a half
yeah,
maybe, or like the OG pole vault vlogs, and I just throw those on and I'd watch you. My favorite thing was like, oh, like you're not supposed to do this. Like while you reviewed the videos, that was the most helpful thing because then I'd like, you know, 3 weeks later I'd be like, oh, Shawn told this kid this, and like I could apply it to myself. Um, and I think it really just set me up like personally. Just wanted to let you know that.
I'm kind of happy you said that because I got to get back to reviewing videos, but it gets weird as you can imagine. Like you put out your ideas of how someone you coach, and there's still this. Well, the model says this, and if you put that out online, you know, then you just get private messages and emails and comments and
Yeah,
stuff, and then you start to go, oh, gee, this I don't even know if I want to deal with that anymore. But then you got someone like you who's like, that was incredibly helpful. Just to here's
oh my
another
god,
idea.
yeah,
So yeah, I'm happy. Thanks for saying that because it's getting some fire under me to keep doing those.
perfect. All right, back to like the idea here. So uh, let's go with like after high school, right? You had vaulted. It was like 15 feet, right?
Yeah, 15 feet in high school. Yep.
Okay, and then how did you decide to go to NDSU? How did that come
Yeah.
about?
Yeah. So I was getting recruiting letters from all over the country, but and my kind of three options at the time were this. I don't know if you're familiar with Minnesota at all, but
A little bit.
there's a place called Mankato, which is a D2 school. I went and did a recruiting visit there, and I just got like it didn't feel good. I don't know,
No, no, no.
and
I
so
gotcha.
yeah, it just I don't know, maybe I went on a rainy day and it just felt kind of gloomy. Like, nah, I don't know about this place. And then I thought for sure I was going to go to the University of Minnesota because it's a Big Ten school. It's D1. And then when I went and recruited there, the head coach goes, "You're going to be lifting a lot. You're going to be really, really tired. You're going to redshirt your first year, or redshirt your first year, and you're probably not going to help the team ever. You'll probably just get a point here or there." And I was like, "What? Doesn't sound very fun at all. It sounds terrible. You know, like why would you tell me that on a recruiting visit if you want me to come here?" And so I kind of left going, I don't think I'm going to go to college. And so I stopped looking at colleges. And I was like, I guess I'm just done pole vaulting. And then when it was middle of July. Like it was after the 4th of July, and I still didn't have a college, and I just accepted that I was just find a job, I guess, someplace. I had no idea what I was going to do. And then NDSU um, got a hold of me through one of the high school coaches, track coaches that we had, and his name was Lars. And Lars goes, "Hey, we heard you don't have a school looked at. Do you want to come check out NDSU?" And I was like, I guess. And that next day, he was the only coach out of the dozens of coaches who contacted me to drive down to my city and talk to me first. And he goes, "I'm going to tell you what we have to offer. And if you like it, then we'll drive you up to NDSU like next week and we'll see if you like it. And he came down and that meant a lot. And then when I went up there, it just felt right. It felt like he cared. He essentially said that you're here to get an education and then do track on the side. And every other place was like, you're doing track and then, we'll get your education while you're doing sports. And so it felt like a family. And and then it was for the 5 years I was there pole vaulting, and then I coached there all through grad school. Like if I couldn't get home for Thanksgiving, we were at Lars's house for Thanksgiving. If we couldn't, make it home for Christmas, we were at Lars's house for Christmas. And I guess that's what deep down kind of what I wanted. I wanted it to feel safe and a good place to jump. So that was the long answer. I'm sorry if it took a while, but
No,
that's
these
why I
are
chose.
perfect. I love this.
Yeah. So uh, North Dakota State, cold, not super exciting, but the culture was just too good to pass up. Yeah.
Perfect. And then we kind of got into it, but why did you decide on biomechanics?
Yeah, dude, I got my undergrad in teaching because I was indecisive and I couldn't decide what to do. I had too many options. I was like I wanted to do something in advertising at first, and then they didn't really have an advertising or marketing program yet. And then I was like, I'll just go be a psychologist. That was my second option. And then they said you have to go to grad school, to even make that work. I was like, I'm never going to grad school. There's no way. And so I ditched that. And then I was bouncing around between like mass communications and all these things until in college, they make you pick a degree by I think it was your sophomore or junior year. And I still had no idea. And I only had enough credits to graduate in education. So I got my teaching degree. And then after that, I was just really into trying to figure out how the body worked at that point. So then I got my master's in biomechanics, and now I'm doing YouTube, I guess. YouTube and videos. So
Perfect.
I'm still that undergrad kid who doesn't know what he wants to be when he grows up. And I didn't know you could like make a living doing that, but I am. Like I if I don't want to do something, I just do the thing I do want to do and figure out how to make it work. And I like to operate that way.
That's perfect. You're still teaching and pole vault stuffing. You know,
Yeah, yeah. I'm a rock flipper. I like to I like to see what's under all the rocks, I guess, I like to explore and discover. So as soon as I figure something out, I get really bored. And then I have to go someplace that hasn't been explored yet. And so yeah,
that's
that's
awesome.
kind of
Um, and then what were any major like problems or just large learning experiences at NDSU as a pole vaulter or a coach? Kind of a big, question, but
yeah, pole vault specific stuff.
anything.
Anything? So pole vault specific, my pole vault coach was actually a multi-event athlete, and it was his first couple years coaching the pole vault. So it felt like we were learning the event together. And so it was like bittersweet in a way because um he was really awesome at accepting input. Or like, hey, I'm this is so one here's one example. He wanted my arm to go back behind my head. All right. So he's like, I see we want elasticity, but he didn't know how to put it into words. And so we tried all these crazy things like let's narrow your grip a whole ton to see if we can get your arm to go back more. Let's try and turn your shoulders. Let's try and let's do all these different weird things. And all we had at the time was beginner to Bubka. So we were trying to use this model, right, to make it all work, but it never really worked for. And that was kind of the basis of there's more than one way to pole vault because that book didn't work for me the way it worked for Bubka. So that was kind of an issue, but it was awesome because he was so good at the runway stuff that I got really, 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 really good at the runway and consistent stuff. And then when I got to Minnesota, they were really good at the second half of the vault. So it almost kind of I got both pieces of the sandwich, and then I just had to put it all together.
It's
So
funny.
that was pole vault wise, that was tough. And then I'm sure you're familiar if you've been following my stuff for a while, but I had like a big time mental break in grad school. So I was in a mental health hospital for 6 weeks as at an outpatient program. But that was really tough too, but a really awesome learning experience in the fact that I didn't realize I was doing too much. So what was going on was like I had I was coaching the NDSU vaulters. I was in grad school. I was doing a thesis. I was running a pole vault club. I was a GA at our wellness center, and I was training for the Olympics myself, right, and trying to make it. So I was doing all these things, and I was like, I need to do more. You know, I got to figure out how to do more. And then when I got in there, like they showed me all sorts of stuff, but the big one was you don't have to do all this stuff. And then the bigger question was like, why do you feel like you have to do all those things? And that started like unraveling all these things that um challenged me at NDSU, as you said, and helped me like learn how to, you know, how I like flipping rocks. It was like,
Yeah.
oh, there's a bunch of rocks inside your head you can flip over, and you can try and figure out why you do what you do. So that was pretty life changing for me at that time too. I don't know if that answered any of your questions, man, but those were the two kind of giant ones
Oh,
that.
this is gold for me.
Okay,
Okay.
cool. Just want to get you what you need, man.
All right. And then you committed to after you jumped like more than 17, you were going to, continue post collegiately. Um,
Dude, you really watched a lot of my stuff, haven't you? Jeez. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And so after you vaulted 520, like how was making that decision to continue?
Yeah, so my fifth year senior, I told myself if I, like you said, if I jump 520, I'd keep going. And then I jumped it indoors and I jumped it outdoors. But when I jumped it indoors, it was like, oh, well, for sure, I'm going to keep going. And that was one of those decisions. That was part of the decision to continue in grad school because at the time there wasn't a lot of pole vault clubs, so you couldn't keep going.
Hmm.
And so your options were to stay in school or to like go pro, and I there was no way I was even close to jumping high enough to do that. And so I was like, I guess grad school it is. And that was another part of the reason to do the biomechanics route was if I'm going to do this pole vault thing, I should probably figure out how to do the like why the pole vault is the way it is, and then how the body reacts on these forces, and then go look at the research that's already been out there. And the wildest part is there isn't a lot of pole vault research. So I was expecting like a holy grail, like a Bible of pole vault research when I opened, the scientific data, and there wasn't any. A bunch of it was from the 80s, and then it just stopped. So, which is kind of insane. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was kind of an easy decision because if I say I'm going to do something, it happens. So it's like 520. All right, that's the decision. Let's just figure it out as we go, kind of thing.
Perfect. And then going a little bit more into the retirement portion.
Yeah.
Um, so that was a really tough time, obviously, because you don't want to stop pole vaulting. Um, but you continued to at least stay in the pole vault realm, making like team hoot content and all that stuff. Like I think it's Jake Winder, right? He talks about it a lot on the Rise podcast. Like when he retired, he was like, "I hate pole vault. Like I'm done." Like he had this negative stuff all wrapped up in it. So around that time, like it must have been tough. But how did you continue to stay like positive in some ways with the pole vault?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. Um, Yeah, stopping's hard. I tell people it's the worst breakup I ever had. but but it was I'm trying to put this in like as simple and easy as I can for you.
You can go any direction you want.
We'll cut out with the best parts. All right. Well, so I like to remember why you start, right? It's just fun, right? And when I when I saw the pull up for the first time, um, just thought it would be cool to be able to do it. Like, can I do that one time? That was the thought in my head. As a kid, I go, "Oh, that would be a cool thing to do." And and this might sound insane, but I see the same thing when I see like a unicycle. Like, oh man, it'd be cool just to
Yeah,
get to
yeah.
my mailbox back. And if I can do that once, I don't ever have to unicycle ever again because that's kind of a goofy thing, you know. And with the pole vault, it was like that. And then it just like every pole vaulter, it's like, oh well, I made 10 feet. Can I make 10.6? You know, I almost got it. I had 3 attempts at it. I almost got it. So you come back and you go, maybe I can jump 10.6. Maybe I can do this. And you kind of keep going and going and going. And then what ends up kind of happening to a lot of vaulters, what like once you get to a high enough level, even state kind of turns that way in high school where they go, well, if you jump these bars, you might make D1 instead of D2. And then all these external, and sorry if you don't like swearing, but it's just bullshit, like all of it. Because the reason why I just wanted to do it was it was just fun. And then it became D1 and then became medals and then became conference. And I never gave a shit about any of that stuff. And I never cared about the Olympics. Like, and everybody does. And I feel weird saying it because like, why would you do this if you don't care about it? Like, I don't care. It's just a meet to me. It's the same as if I went to a street meet. To me, they're the same. And so I guess how I stayed positive through the whole thing was I got really negative because of all the bullshit. And then I realized it was just all bullshit. And it took about a year for me to go, I don't hate the pole. I hate that stuff. I hate that people are forced to try and jump higher. They're forced to go, you have to be top 10 in the world. You'd go to Reno and they would go, you have to be
Yep.
top 10 in the world, or they would essentially say you're a piece of garbage, right? Then why are you here if you're not trying to jump top 10 in the world? And you're going, well, I'm trying to jump as high as I can. And we're here and we're the best in the US right now. But there's some French guy at the time was Renault. He's like, he's jumping way higher. And they're like, well, you're not better than the French jumpers right now. And we're like, we're freaking trying. And we had to pay our way to get here. And I'm living with my mom and I'm doing all these things. And you're still saying you suck. And you go, bullshit, right? All that's just bullshit. So I was mad at that. And then when I meditate a lot. So when I would sit down and go, what was it that made me want to go in the first place? It was because it was fun and the community. That's really what it came back to. And being a guy who's like had anxiety and depression issues for a long time, the pole vault was one of those first places where I found a community of people where you could be 100% yourself, be a goofball. You could, say off-color jokes and everyone would think they're funny, and they just accepted you. And so then what Team Hoot became was trying to grow that for people who just needed a place, so um that's what kept me going was that I had all these questions when I was a kid. I didn't know how to get them. So how can I give those to people who are in my same shoes? And then two, like how can I create a bigger place where people can find that same thing that I kind of found? So that's what kept me going through that realm, even though there was a lot of hatred and anger towards I call it like the pole vault machine. There's like this bullshit part of it that I fucking hate so much, man. It's so ugly and
Oh no,
bad.
I totally understand.
Yeah, and it sucks because there and I'm going off on a little tangent here, but when elite athletes end their career, there's no support on how to transition to the next phase of their life. So a lot of these Olympians who have gold medals and things like that, they end up falling into depression or committing suicide and things like that, just because you're only as good as your performance. You're only as good as how well you perform. You're only as good as how much money you can make, your agents and these sponsors. And then when you can't perform like a monkey anymore, then you're just like, oh, let's find a new monkey kind of a thing. So that part's really ugly and gross, but I think it needs to be talked about for sure because um, athletes they're just humans too, and I think they all start from that place that this thing is really fun, and then it turns into this other thing, and so yeah, I'm happy Jake's talking about it a lot too because yeah, when you can focus on why you started, I guess at the simplest point, if you can focus on why you started, then you realize it's just all bullshit and you don't have to focus on that stuff anymore. But it's really easy to get lost into that one. Like if you just jump a little bit higher, then you
Yeah,
get the
no, I'm totally there with you because right now, like I just finished my sophomore year in college, but I'm
Yeah.
not vaulting like at the college I go to. I wanted to because I'm from Nebraska. I don't know if you know.
Yeah. Oh, I
Um,
didn't.
yeah, so I'm from Nebraska. That's where I'm at right now. And the big university here is like UNL, Lincoln,
Yeah.
the Cornhuskers, right?
Yeah, I've
And
jumped there a few times.
yeah, yeah, I think I've seen some videos. But yeah, it's like super cool. Like I went to track camps here, and I talked to some of the vaulters before my senior year, and I was like, what height do you gotta jump? And they were like, oh, well, like 15 feet will get you probably like a walk on most years.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm gonna do that, and I did. I got 15 feet, and I messaged like the coach then. But this was COVID was before my senior year, my junior year, and so he's like, oh, we got a lot of like returners and this and that. Like you got to jump 16, and I was like, okay, that's fine. I'm gonna go vault. There's a club like 15 minutes away from my college, luckily. So I jumped there, got kind of injured, and then again, I was so focused on that pole vault machine, right? Like I have to vault 16 feet or it's done. I'm done. Like, right?
Yeah.
I didn't vault anything that year. I had more run throughs than I had ever had. I had more problems than I had ever had. I did one meet like the summer between freshman and sophomore year, and I ran through all until like my actual like first three attempts. And because I had been running through, I was on a tiny little pole and I blew through all my first three attempts. And then that was really frustrating. I took off like two, three. It was probably like a month, and then uh, again, I had a tough time at like the start of this year trying to match it up, and then I had a lot of school and work, and like I could barely come because the pole vault there it's Tuesday, Thursday at like this specific time. And it was like, oh well, that's right when I help with the nutrition side of again because I'm trying to like major in the pole vault in a way.
Yeah.
So
I
I'm in like the nutrition and exercise program, um, and so I help out with the sports teams and the nutrition, and so then I would miss some of the pole vault sessions, and I could only go like once every 2 weeks, um, and I was like, oh, that's like enough, and then uh, luckily like winter break hit, and I was able to go twice a week for like 3 weeks in a row, and then also my like main coach at the club doesn't really like run throughs at all. He doesn't really understand them. But
Yeah.
luckily, he was kind of having like a secondary coach there who does run through, who has had run through issues, and kind of told me like, it's okay, let's just figure it out.
Yeah.
And so right now, where I'm at is I'm on five lefts, and I just had like a meet, like I think it was less than a week ago, and I finally like hit the poles I'm supposed to hit from five and gripped about where I'm supposed to grip from five, and I was still flying through them, and I jumped like 2 bars at a street vault, and I got another one coming up soon, and again, I
Oh
know
yeah.
what you mean, like the machine, right? And I've come to the terms like if I can vault like 1 year at Lincoln, cool, good. If I
Yeah.
vault only club ever, good. Like as long as I'm pole vaulting, because I like to pole vault. That's kind of the
Sean Young calls it soul vaulting. Like you
soul
just jump.
vaulting.
It's good for your soul. And I love that. Like he's like, there's no other reason that you should be doing it besides that it's just it fills your bucket up and it's good for your soul. I was like, oh yeah, that's exactly why I started in the first place. And then it
Yeah,
became things outside of my body, like yeah, extrinsic rewards that just garbage, man, bullshit. I guess I just keep calling it bullshit over and over again because that's what it feels like.
yeah. I love
Yeah,
that though, because originally in the vlog you were like, oh, it's like work versus fun, and here you're like, yeah, man, it was just a bunch of bullshit, and it's
yeah,
great.
no, yeah, and that's why the vlog was like beautiful in a lot of ways, and then I look back at some of it and I go, oh man, my perspective has changed so much. So like the kids
Really?
watch, yeah, well some of it because there's this part, where our society pushes like hard work and do more and do more and do more and do more, and the more I'm learning about mental health stuff, it's like, oh man, that's super unhealthy. that's that's really really unhealthy. Like there's this part of you that you should be looking in and see like I like this whole bucket analogy where you go, what brings you energy and that you get excited about where you forget to eat. Like though when that's how I like to think about it. Like what thing in your life makes you forget to eat that you're so engulfed in? that you're like, oh my God, I didn't eat anything today and I need to go. Like you're just so into it. And those are the like that's not grinding to me. That's not doing more. That's the more I do this thing, even though I'm not eating I'm getting more energy from it. Where that grinding mentality goes, let's just knock all the freaking energy out of you until you get burnt out and can't move anymore. And I was operating that way for way too long. And so I'm trying to be really mindful now of what things are filling my bucket, even if it doesn't make sense yet. But there's something in me that needs that, almost like water, like I'm really thirsty for this thing. But for some reason, I'm drinking this other garbage that doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, so when I watch those old vlogs, I go, oh man, I was still kind of in this place that was do more, go harder,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah. And
You can see
that,
that in your old vlogs because you're always like, yeah, today I'm just feeling really flat. I don't know why. I just lifted like 15 times and
yeah,
sprinted, for
I,
the treadmill for 20 minutes.
yeah, I don't know why I feel like garbage. It's stupid. Yeah, and then when I wrote the book, you probably saw this vlog, but like I did the high school training plan
Yeah.
instead of my original one. It was like half the work, maybe a third of it. And I was like, oh, I feel way better doing this. My results I was doing way too much way back when. But it came from that mentality, probably from my parents and society that like more, 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 more. If you're not outwork your outwork your opponents, your enemies, or whatever. And I'm like, that's such a weird way of. I don't like thinking about it that way anymore. It's just everyone's just trying to jump as high as they can. Like I don't have any enemies in the sport. They're
Yeah,
like,
exactly. All right, Zoom's gonna cut us off in like 8 minutes, so I'm gonna try to end this and then just launch another one. I'll send you another link in Instagram, and hopefully it gives us another whole time because I didn't know it did this. So just two
sounds good, man.
seconds. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And
All right. I think we got it.
yes. All right. Sweet.
Or
All right. That was kind of a good time to transition anyway. So, now you're kind of doing like the one whole life stuff and uh, I know you kind of tapped into like Team Hoot mental health stuff and how is your approach and focus to mental health kind of how did that start and where is it right now and where do you want it to go? Kind of a
yeah.
loaded
So
question, but
no, not at all. So it just started from my history with depression and stuff. So that started, oh, man, when I was 9 or 10. And so then I had it was just kind of a nightmare. Like the mental health system's really broken. I won't go too in depth on that, but it's just not good. So trying to navigate that as a kid, when I was a kid, they didn't think kids could get depression or anxiety or anything like that. They just assumed that it was behavioral issues. Uh, and so like when I was 10, they gave me an adult dose of lithium, which at the time was like the standard to give people with depression, and then it knocked me out of school for a whole year. Like I almost died by just a doctor's error. So that started kind of this mistrust in the system in the first place, which was like, hey, really? You guys are gonna give me lithium? Like you almost killed me. Why would I trust you guys now? So I've always kind of gone into it with this. Um, I don't really fully trust any. This is going. We don't need to talk about this, but I have this like, is this really helping me, or is this just some stuff they taught me way back when, or that they learned way back when? Which is it's kind of good to have, I think, because it's it makes you just question things, and I think that's super healthy and be curious, and then it makes people challenge their own belief systems, kind of a thing. So it started way back then, and then 13, I was hospitalized for a week with mental health, just trying to figure out what was going on. And then I got out, got kind of some help, but then I never really feel like I solved any of the issues. It was just kind of like, um, navigating this weird world, kind of a thing. And then I felt like now looking back, I can say it just felt like I was hanging on or faking it, kind of a thing. Like everything's fine. And then, like I explained earlier, in grad school when I was 26, then like everything exploded again. You're doing too much. You have this depression, anxiety thing. You're going to school, but you don't really know why you're going to school. You think it's for pole vault, but then there's this other side of you that's going, a teaching degree isn't good enough. So you better go get a master's in science because people will respect you more for, there's all these like weird belief systems that I had in my head and thoughts and how I should see myself. And then that like changed my life because a lot of those belief systems and thoughts and were kind of ripped to shreds, and I felt better. And people were trying to give me antidepressants and pills and stuff for years, saying these will make you feel better. And even though I was on them, I never felt better. And then there was just like one instance with a therapist when I was in the mental health hospital where one of these thoughts was challenged and it was like torn to shreds. And then I was like, oh my God, I feel instantly better just by letting this one thing go. And it felt like magic in a way. So that was like, how do I give that to more people? Or how do I help more people break down these barriers and be free instead of keeping being put in a smaller box, it always felt like. So that's always been in the back of my head of how to help more people do that. So when I was talking about earlier how Team Hoot was a way to do those types of things that you wanted to do, those things that fill your bucket, even though maybe your parents or society or your friends or teachers, for me, it was a lot of teachers saying like, you can't do that. That's not the way it goes. We're like, well, maybe you can't do that. Or you can't see me doing that, but I'm gonna try at the very least. And if I fail, that's okay, because that's how you learn in the first place. So that was my first kind of way to try and help other people do the things that I was doing because I was supposed to get a degree in biomechanics and then go sit in a lab and use my degree to make a bunch of money. And so I got this degree and I was like, I'm gonna go live with my parents in pole vault because that's what's filling my bucket right now. And it was awesome. I had this crazy adventure and now I'm like what it's turned into is like a dream in a way. Um, like I created my own job. And so it was like how can I help more people do that? And so one whole life is trying to be a way to take a lot of these things I've learned with therapists and mental health experts and people not in the machine as much, but people trying to go, the machine doesn't work, but here's another way. Or we don't know, or I like talking to people who go, we don't have the answers, but we're trying to find them. We're gonna keep lifting rocks until we figure this out. Other rock flippers, I guess. I like to talk to other rock flippers. And then I'm not a mental health expert, and I'll never claim to be one, but I like to shine a light on the people who maybe don't have a platform and trying to build a platform for them to be heard. And then share the tools that I've gotten and share the tools that they're sharing with other people. So like with these wristband kind of ideas, it was like, well, one of them was, well, mindfulness type stuff. So if you slap the wristband, you feel a sensation. And when you can put your body into this sensation or your mind and your body are in the same place, the bullshit goes away, at least for a little while. And if you can see a light, right through the bullshit, you can go, oh, that light is there. How do I, how do I get more of that light? And you can start to focus on it more. And then the bullshit goes away and you have more light instead of bullshit. So that's like one way to do that. And so it's been trying to figure out how to get these tools into people's hands sooner before they're in a crisis. So that's kind of where I'm at now is like if if you're in a tornado, like the worst thing you can try and do is, you know, all the things like it's better to avoid the tornado or practice how to like handle being in a tornado before there's a tornado than going, all right, or tornado's a terrible example. Let's go swimming. That's better metaphor. It's like let's teach you how to swim in the shallow end before throwing you in a hurricane in the middle of the ocean. All right, good luck. Let's learn how to swim there. So that's what I'm trying to do with owl uh mental health right now, or one whole life, is just to help people get there. And then I'm trying to, I don't know, it's hard to build an audience. So it's like I have this pole vault audience and mental health, no, whether it's through sports or through child psychology or just psychology in general or PTSD or veterans, it's all the same stuff. So what I've been trying to do and seems to be working is you start talking about the tools, the mental health stuff that will help with sports performance. And then people go, oh my God, that helped with run throughs, or that helped me feel more confident at a meet, or that helped with all these different, things that the mind side of the sports instead of the physical side of sports. And then what makes me feel good is that, oh, they have these tools, and I kind of gave it to them in the back door, where if they need that tool down the road, maybe it's a death of the family, or maybe they fall into like a depression like I did, they still have those tools they learned in sports, but they can apply it to a different space in their life. So yeah, that was a lot, man. But I guess in the gist of it is just trying to get the tools that I learned into people's hands sooner. That's at the root of what I'm doing. That's just it. And then just trying to figure out what's really going on because I don't know, SSRIs don't seem to work as much as they claim they're working for everybody, or antidepressants, I guess.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Perfect. All right. On to another set of questions then. How has the pole vault community changed your life?
Oh man, they're just it's in so many ways, man. I don't even know where to start. Let's just put it this way. At my wedding, I had more people from the pole vault community than I did my normal family. Yeah. Like they feel more like my family than my blood relatives in a lot of ways. Yeah. Carrie didn't even know some of them. I was like, they need to come. And so she met a lot of these people for the first time. But yeah, they became almost more of a family than a lot of them. Yeah, my blood relatives. Just I think a family is a place where you just feel safe. And that's what the pole vault community has given me, just a place to be safe. And and then what I try and do is just give back to them in the same way. Is like, I'm just gonna be honest with you with what I find, and I'm gonna, I guess, help you be safe from like a pole vault place, but also like I'm gonna help you with this mental health stuff too, because it's a giant issue. And then yeah, just help you fill your bucket. And that's what a lot of these coaches and kids want, is at this moment they were where I was at, where I just want to jump higher. Like, all right, I'll do whatever I can to help you chase your dreams, because when I have this fundamental belief that when you feel good and you're doing the things that you're in line with, and that's like the things that are making you feel alive, that just the world's a better place. So, and the pole vault community is a pretty cool place where people are already doing those types of things.
Perfect. Um, I do have some more questions, but I don't want to like keep you here forever because it's
Oh
been.
man, I'll answer faster if you want me to.
No, no,
So,
no. I don't
okay,
have anything until I have to be at work at like 3 o'clock. So I have all day.
I'm good too. My family is gone. They were here for a week, but we're good now.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah, I'm on your time, dude.
All right. Um, what like opportunities has content creation given you?
A lot. Yeah. So when I was done with the pole vault thing, making the vlogs, I didn't know what I was going to do. And then the original thought was just to make ideas for, or make videos for a bunch of businesses that were trying to do really cool things. And so with the pole vault blog, that opened up some doors for within the pole vault space. And then like I've made videos for, I don't know if you've seen any of these, but for outdoor life, I made this hunting series. I made 7 videos for this hunting company where I lived in a school bus for 6 weeks, and we filmed all these crazy different hunts, and it was amazing. You get to live under the stars, and like I've never even seen an elk, so just like being in the woods, seeing these crazy things. So that was pretty cool. I just did a film last year for a fire department, so I literally got to just hang out in like a fire. I don't know. I get to do all these cool things, right? And you've followed the vlogs for a long time. So my whole philosophy is like life is meant to be experienced and curiosity will get you there. And so it's opened up all these new experiences that I wouldn't have had if I would have just taken that biomechanics route and sat in a lab. like I get to experience more of life instead of the same experience over and over and over and over and over again. So that's what content creation has done for me. And here's the best way to put it. I had on that hunt, uh, they had another team of filmmakers come out, and the guy brought out his camera and he goes, "Oh man, aren't we the luckiest people in the world? You have your camera and I have mine, and it will take you anywhere you want to go in the whole entire world. It's like that little camera will take you anywhere you want to go." I was like, "Oh, that you nailed it, man. That's exactly what content creation can do. It lets you it lets you lift up rocks, man."
Perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
I was also thinking like Thailand. Isn't that where
Or
you went? Or
oh,
where?
Taiwan.
Taiwan. Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, Brian Yokoyama hooked me up with that one. So that was pretty that was neat. The weirdest thing about that was I forgot my camera. Like, and so I had to film everything on my phone for the first time. So it's the worst quality probably footage of all my vlogs because it was all in this
I don't
crappy.
remember it being worse or anything. So
See, like nobody cares about that stuff. Like me and my buddy Sam talk about this all the time, where we're like, "Do you shoot in 1080p or 4K?" And then, only video editors and film people will notice the difference, but everyone else is like, who, who cares if you made a cut 2 seconds earlier or
right,
whatever.
right. I don't know if you've heard it, maybe not, but like Treo to Nate Hyatt, they have
Yeah,
a podcast that they do, and
yeah,
they always talked about how awful their like audio quality was, and I just have it like cranked while I was going down the interstate to my pole vault club.
yeah,
Um, and then they like upgraded their mics, and now you can actually like hear it. Like their audio quality was just garbage at first, I guess. But
yeah,
when you're listening to it for the first time and you're like, "This is so cool!" Like these two dudes that I like are being, real silly and goofy.
yeah,
It's just fun to listen to.
yeah. That's how it goes, man. Like, so like in video, it's like the story is all that matters. That's what they say. So like if everything else sucks. So there's been film, and I'm going off on a tangent again, but at the Cannes Film Festival, they had these guys with like $100,000 camera setups and sound setups, and they were making these movies, but the story was garbage. And they had this other group of people who filmed everything on an iPhone. And the people who filmed on the iPhone had a phenomenal story, and they won the Cannes Film Festival because of the story. Like the other stuff doesn't really matter. It's just like what tools are you using to tell a story. And so like with Nate and Trey, it's like, well, your guys are funny. That's the gold, man. Like you can you can make it prettier, but like the gist of it is like people want to listen to you guys because they're awesome, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Um, what made Sean Francis such a big part of the pole vault community?
Uh, I don't I don't know if I'm a big part. I'm just a part of it, dude. I mean, I don't I that's a tough one. I don't I don't see myself as a big part of it, just a part of it who got there earlier, maybe. I think a lot of people are scared to put stuff out. Like I put the book out and it was terrifying. It was like one of the scariest things I ever did for a lot of reasons. Like one of them was I had a bunch of teachers telling me I sucked at writing all through middle school and high school. And what I sucked at was just punctuation and proofreading. Like the writing, I guess, was really good. And so when I wrote the book, um, I've had a lot of people go, "I really like the stories in there." Like, really? Like, I'm a shitty writer. And they're like, "No, it's pretty good." And so that was scary because I had this idea from a bunch of teachers telling me. And then two, it was like, I am the people who write books in our sport or put out content are gold medalists or people who have coached gold medalists. And I have done neither. So, so it was like, oh man, this isn't going to go well. And I don't know if you knew this, but I was going to write the book and then like be done with pole vault. It was going to be like my last thing I give to the pole vault community and move on to video stuff full time. So that kind of helped me put that out there. But I think what became like why I have an impact in this community is just because I don't know. I really value truth over like what people think of me. So maybe it just allows me to put stuff out that maybe other people want because I get a lot of, well, I can't share this drill because then my competitor might see it and then they'll jump higher than my athletes. And my whole thing is I just want everyone to jump high. Like you're all my athletes. Like the whole community is my team. And then even people outside of it, like if we can elevate everybody, then the sport gets better. And and so that mentality was never there for me. So I think I think just sharing stuff and then being able to, I don't want to call them trolls, but people who are just say mean things to you online or um yeah, you just got to create stuff. I don't know. I like creating stuff, and I think that's the only reason I probably have an impact is because I'm putting stuff out where other people may not be. You know, I know that's a hard question because I really don't see myself as any different than you guys at all. I just put stuff out.
I mean, I know you don't feel like a big part, but again, like kids like me, just personally,
Yeah.
you were, the foundation of my pole vault. So
Oh, I appreciate it, that man.
yeah, well, you did it. So um, let's see, and I think talking kind of about the book, you online anyway have been, I feel like, a really big reason that people have switched from that mentality of like, I'm sure there's videos of Renault jumping 6 meters that were uploaded in like 2012 and have comments saying, well, if he would have, jumped like Bobka, he would have jumped X height or Y height, but he's jumping wrong. And
Right.
you've really switched the mentality online, and I see it a lot more of like, yeah, you could do this or this, like whatever works for you. Like, uh, again, the Winders, they've been posting this kid that has this crazy double leg swing that just looks nuts.
Yeah.
And instead of, people, I feel like, 10 years ago probably would have been like, well, that's not the right way to pole vault.
Wrong.
Wrong. But now people are like, that looks sick, dude. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I feel like you've been a big part in that transition. And I know you talked about like it kind of started at NDSU. Um, has it kind of changed from that, or like how did that come about?
Yeah. Well, I think that broke the glass, where well, this isn't working for me, but the book says it should be, and then I'm trying this other thing, but I'm jumping higher. But the point isn't to look pretty; the point's to jump higher. So, do I choose look pretty and jump lower, or you know, get some ridicule and jump higher? And then at the time, I was uh Jason Colwick was jumping. I don't know if you know that
Yeah,
name
yeah,
at all.
yeah.
He looked insane. He
He still does.
Yeah, still does. He dive into the pit and have this massive double leg swing that looked like he was on a high bar, like because he was a gymnast. And I got to talk to him. He's a fascinating dude. But long story long, everyone was going, I would never, you can't take off like that. And you go, he's the NCAA champion. He just won the NCAAs, and you're telling him he can't, he just beat all your guys. And so there was this like it felt like it was in a parallel universe or something, or like is this reality right now that people are saying he's jumping wrong when he just cleared the bar with a stick? Like that's the only goal in our sport. And so that kind of helped push me even farther away from that. And so the more I started challenging things and the more I started changing the way I coached away from like the blue book and going, well, what's this athlete's strengths and weaknesses and how can we help them jump higher? And then they were jumping higher that way and they were continuing to jump higher. It wasn't like they were just plateauing. And then the third part that solidified it for me was when I got to the elite level. The elites weren't talking about models anymore. They were all talking about, all right, how do we move energy? How do we change body positions? How do we use your limbs because you're not very fast? So how do we make you, and you're really fast but you're not very tall, so how do we utilize that to help you get over the bar? So they were all this really small club. The tippity top of the pyramid was talking like that, and then the rest of the pyramid was talking about the blue book because Buka had the world record for 20 years. So no one's jumped higher. That's the way. And then all of a sudden in 20, I think it was 2014, when Renault broke the world record, then that kind of put a kink in the armor of going, oh, there's another way. And then Mono came and did it a completely different way. And then they're going, oh yeah, okay, there's more than one way
Yeah.
to do this. And then Sam was coming along at the same time, who was jumping on 16-foot poles, jumping really high. So there's just another way where you'd be at Reno and you'd have the same guys going. If you just had a better pole drop and a pole run, you like Bubka, you would jump higher. You're like, he's jumping 19.8. Like, how much higher do you need to jump? And I always think of it like chasing infinities. If you're chasing an infinity, you're never going to be satisfied. And you're never going to win because you're never going to catch it. So a lot of these coaches chase infinities, unfortunately, and it's like just you're going to crap out pretty quick doing that. But yeah, so my philosophies hasn't really changed. It's just became stronger and more in that. Yeah, there's more than one way to do this for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's all the questions I had prepared.
cool, man.
So
Well, I hope you got what you needed.
I got so much. If you don't mind, I have this like recorded on the side here just so I can reference back to it, and
Yeah, of course, man.
because you
Yeah,
said
do
you
whatever.
said a lot of stuff. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry, I got long-winded on some of those,
no,
but
this was awesome. It was like I got to do my own little podcast with Shawn. So
you should start a podcast, man.
I
You should
maybe we
you
will.
got
So
podcasts out there, dude.
yeah, we need more. We need more. Sean, I appreciate your time so much. Like I said, you are like you're to me you're bigger than like all the Olympians and everything because to me you made probably the biggest impact. That wasn't like a real coach to me. So
I appreciate you, man. Like, yeah, just trying to create the stuff I wish I had when I was a kid. So it means a lot knowing that.
you really did. You really did. So
Cool.
thank
Well,
you
if there's
so much,
anything
Sean.
you get a hold of me, all
I
right?
totally will. Thank you so much.
Yep. Have a
See
good
you,
one.
Sean.